Welcome to this episode of More Than Just a Score. We're now just a few weeks away from the start of the biggest sporting event on Earth. Billions around the globe will tune in and hold their breath and pray that their country, at the end of a month-long journey, will be the last one standing. It is almost time for the FIFA World Cup, which will play out across North America in the United States, Canada, and Mexico. In honor of the tournament, we're in the midst of a 6-part series looking at the beautiful game's biggest prize. If you enjoy this episode, feel free to hit the like and subscribe buttons and check out our other episodes in the series. Now, in this episode, we're going to take a wider view across nearly 100 years of World Cup history and examine how it became the global sporting icon that it's become. It would be a gross understatement to say that the FIFA World Cup is far more than a football tournament. It is one of the largest cultural events on Earth, a global ritual that unfolds every 4 years and captures the imagination of people on every continent and in every corner of the planet. Streets fall silent during matches, nations pause for moments of joy, heartbreak, and celebration. Heroes are made, legends are written, and unforgettable memories become part of world history. The tournament has survived through economic depression, political tension, world wars, corruption scandals, and changing technology to become the defining competition in international football. The story of the FIFA World Cup is ultimately the story of how football transformed from a regional pastime into the world's most influential sport. The roots of the World Cup actually stretch back to the late 19th century, when football rapidly spread across Europe and South America. The game had been codified in England, but by the early 1900s, it was evolving into an international obsession. Clubs and national teams began organizing friendly matches across borders, creating growing demand for a global governing body. In 1904, representatives from France, Belgium, Denmark, the Netherlands, Spain, Sweden, and Switzerland founded the Fédération Internationale de Football Association, better known as FIFA. Their goal was to standardize the rules of international football and oversee the growing sport. At first, international football was tied closely to the Olympic Games. It appeared in several Olympic tournaments during the early 20th century, but the competition was limited largely to amateur players. That created frustration because many of the best footballers in the world were professionals, especially in parts of Europe and South America. One man, more than any other, believed that football deserved its own global championship. His name was Jules Rimet. Rimet became FIFA president in 1921, and he dreamed of creating an international tournament that would unite nations through sport. He believed football could bring people together across borders, cultures, and languages. Now, the idea sounded like a winner, but did face some resistance. Travel across oceans was expensive and time-consuming, and many football associations feared the financial burden. Others argued that the Olympic tournament was sufficient, yet Rimet persisted, lobbying national associations and promoting the idea of a separate world championship. In 1928, FIFA approved plans for a global tournament to begin in 1930. Uruguay was selected as the host nation for the inaugural World Cup. The South American nation was an ideal choice on several levels. The country had won Olympic football gold medals in 1924 and 28, making it arguably the strongest football nation in the world at the time. It was also celebrating the centenary of its independence and offered to pay travel expenses for participating teams. Despite those incentives, many European nations hesitated because the trip across the Atlantic required a long sea voyage. In the end, only 4 European teams made the journey: France, Belgium, Romania, and Yugoslavia. The first FIFA World Cup began on July 13, 1930 in Montevideo. 13 teams participated. Uruguay defeated Argentina 4-2 in the final at the Estadio Centenario, becoming the first world champion. The success of the tournament proved that international football could attract worldwide attention outside of the Olympics. It also planted the seed of emotional fan support and national pride that has come to define the World Cup today. The tournament expanded rapidly during the 1930s. Italy hosted the 1934 World Cup under the dictatorship of Benito Mussolini. The event demonstrated both the growing power of football and the political influence that would shadow the competition for decades, Mussolini viewed the tournament as a vehicle for propaganda for fascist Italy. The Azzurri won that championship over the Czechs in front of more than 50,000 in Rome amid allegations of intimidation and political pressure surrounding parts of the competition. 4 years later, in 1938, France hosted the tournament, which again was won by the Italians. By then, tensions across Europe were rising dramatically, with the threat of war looming in the air. Within a year, World War II erupted and the World Cup was suspended. The tournaments planned for 1942 and 46 never took place. During those years, football took a back seat to the global conflict of World War II. Yet the World Cup survived in spirit, largely because FIFA continued to believe that the tournament represented the possibility of international unity. When peace returned, the World Cup reemerged in 1950 in Brazil. That tournament produced one of the most shocking moments in football history. In front of nearly 200,000 spectators at the famed Maracanã, heavily favored Brazil lost 2-1 to Uruguay in the decisive match. That upset became known as the Maracanazo, a defeat so devastating that it would leave a permanent scar on Brazilian football culture. The 1950s also marked the rise of television and the emergence of the global football star. Hungary dazzled audiences during the 1954 tournament before losing unexpectedly to West Germany in the final. The result became known as the Miracle of Bern and symbolized post-war German recovery. 4 years later, a 17-year-old Brazilian named Pelé burst onto the world stage at the 1958 World Cup in Sweden. Brazil's style of play combined creative flair and attacking brilliance, helping to establish football as an art form as much as a sport. Brazil repeated as champions in 1962 and won again in 1970, cementing the nation's legendary status. As the tournament grew, so did its global reach. Countries from Africa, Asia, and North America pushed for greater representation in qualification and final tournaments. Decolonization and political independence across Africa and Asia led to the emergence of many new national teams eager to compete on the world stage. The World Cup increasingly became a symbol of national identity and international recognition. By the 70s and 80s, it was one of the most watched events on the planet. The 1970 World Cup in Mexico marked another turning point. It was the first World Cup to be broadcast on television in color worldwide, dramatically increasing the tournament's visual appeal. Brazil's team for that tournament is still considered to be one of the greatest football teams ever assembled, their stylish play and charismatic personalities helping make the World Cup a truly global entertainment phenomenon. The tournament also marked the final appearance of the original World Cup trophy, the Jules Rimet Trophy. The history of the Jules Rimet Trophy is one of the most fascinating stories connected to the tournament. Originally called Victory, the trophy was designed by French sculptor Abel Lafleur. It featured Nike, the ancient Greek goddess of victory, holding a cup above her head. The trophy was made of gold-plated sterling silver and stood about 14 inches tall. In 1946, FIFA officially renamed it the Jules Rimet Trophy in honor of the FIFA president whose vision had created the World Cup. The trophy quickly became one of the most recognizable symbols in international sport, yet it also developed a mysterious and dramatic history. During World War II, the trophy was hidden in a shoebox under the bed of Italian football official Ottorino Barassi to prevent Nazi forces from stealing it. Then in 1966, just months before the tournament in England, the trophy was stolen during a public exhibition in London, the theft causing worldwide panic and embarrassment for FIFA.
It must have been an almighty humiliation when it was stolen for you.
It was. It really was. To have had the responsibility again of handing the cup over, and within a few hours, 24 hours, knowing that it was stolen, I blamed myself. I'd done everything, but I still blame myself. It was terrible.
Remarkably, the trophy was recovered a week later thanks to a dog named Pickles, who found it wrapped in a newspaper beneath a hedge in South London. Needless to say, the four-legged sleuth became an international celebrity overnight. Brazil permanently retained the Jules Rimet Trophy after winning its third World Cup title in 1970. However, the story doesn't end there. In 1983, the trophy was stolen again from the headquarters of the Brazilian Football Confederation in Rio de Janeiro. Unlike the 1966 theft, this time the trophy was never recovered. Most experts believe it was melted down and sold for its gold, though rumors do persist that it still exists somewhere in private hands. Following Brazil's permanent possession of the Jules Rimet Trophy, FIFA commissioned a new trophy to be made for the 1974 World Cup. Italian sculptor Silvio Gazzaniga created the modern FIFA World Cup Trophy, which remains in use today. The current trophy depicts two human figures lifting the earth. It stands approximately 36 centimeters tall, weighs just over 6 kilograms, and is made of solid 18-karat gold with a malachite base. Unlike the Jules Rimet Trophy, the modern trophy is never permanently awarded to a nation. Instead, winning teams receive a gold-plated replica, while FIFA retains the original. The modern World Cup trophy has become perhaps the most famous sporting symbol in the world. Only a select group of players, coaches, and officials are even allowed to touch it with their bare hands. FIFA has carefully protected the trophy's image and branding because of its immense commercial value. The trophy tour before each World Cup now travels across dozens of countries, allowing fans around the world to get up close and personal with football's greatest prize. As the World Cup grew in popularity, so did controversies surrounding the tournament. Politics has often intersected with football on the world stage. As mentioned earlier in the episode, the 1934 World Cup in Italy remains one of the most controversial tournaments in football history because of allegations that Mussolini influenced officials and used the event to drive propaganda. The 1978 World Cup in Argentina took place during a brutal military dictatorship that had been accused of human rights abuses. Critics argued that the government used the tournament to distract from political repression. There were also accusations of political interference in at least one match between Peru and Argentina. U.S. Secretary of State Henry Kissinger had traveled to Buenos Aires to attend the event.
So I just wish you all good luck in the football game today.
Peruvian players allege that Kissinger, along with Argentine dictator Jorge Videla, visited the team's change room before their match that had already been fixed in a deal with Peru's political leaders to have the hosts win by more than the 4 goals needed for Argentina to advance. The Argentinians would go on to win that game 6-0 and advanced en route to winning the tournament. More recent World Cups have also generated debate. FIFA has repeatedly faced accusations of corruption, bribery, and lack of transparency. The bidding processes for several World Cups have come under intense scrutiny, particularly the awarding of the 2018 World Cup.
The 2018 FIFA World Cup, 2018 FIFA World Cup, ladies and gentlemen, will be organized in Russia.
Russia was selected as the 2018 host nation. At the same time, FIFA President Sepp Blatter announced the winning bid to host 2022.
The winner to organize the 2022 FIFA World Cup is Qatar.
Critics raised concerns about corruption in the bidding process, as well as worries about labor conditions, political influence, and the enormous financial costs associated with hosting the event. FIFA itself endured massive corruption scandals in 2015, when several officials were arrested as a part of an international investigation into bribery and financial misconduct. Controversial moments on the field have also shaped World Cup history. Diego Maradona's infamous Hand of God goal against England in 1986 remains one of football's most debated incidents. The 2006 final saw French legend Zinedine Zidane sent off after headbutting Italy's Marco Materazzi. Luis Suarez's deliberate handball against Ghana in 2010 denied Africa a historic semi-final appearance. Refereeing controversies have repeatedly sparked arguments over fairness, technology, and officiating standards. In response to growing criticism, FIFA introduced goal line technology and later the video assistant referee system, commonly known as VAR. These innovations aim to reduce officiating errors, though debates about technology and the human element of football continue. Every World Cup seems to produce moments that become part of global sporting folklore, whether because of brilliance, controversy, or drama. Beyond controversy, the tournament has also produced countless odd and fascinating facts. The first World Cup final in 1930 used two different footballs because Argentina and Uruguay disagreed over which ball should be used. India withdrew from the 1950 World Cup in part because several players preferred to play barefoot, which conflicted with FIFA regulations. The fastest goal in World Cup history was scored by Turkiye's Hakan Şükür after only 11 seconds in 2002.
So Daegu is ready for an emotional farewell to the Korean team who play in this third place playoff. Hong Myung-bo's in trouble here. It's Hakan Şükür! It's one of the early World Cup goals of all time. 11 seconds in, Hakan Şükür scores his first goal of these championships.
Miroslav Klose of Germany became the all-time leading World Cup scorer with 16 goals across 4 tournaments. The World Cup has also inspired unusual mascots, songs, and superstitions. Mexico 1970 introduced the first official World Cup mascot, Juanito. Since then, mascots ranging from lions to peppers to armadillos have represented host nations. Official songs such as Waka Waka by Shakira in 2010 and La Copa de la Vida by Ricky Martin in 1998 became global hits beyond football itself. Fans often develop elaborate rituals and superstitions during tournaments, from lucky jerseys to national chants that become part of cultural identity. Perhaps the greatest aspect of the FIFA World Cup is its extraordinary global impact. No other sporting event combines worldwide participation, emotional investment, and cultural visibility on the same scale. Billions of viewers watch matches across television and more recently through digital platforms. Entire economies feel the effects of the tournament through tourism, advertising, merchandise sales, and broadcast rights. Hosting the World Cup often transforms infrastructure within a country, leading to new stadiums, transportation systems, and urban development projects. The tournament's cultural significance extends well beyond economics as well. The World Cup allows nations to express identity and pride on a global stage. Victories can create moments of collective joy that transcend politics, language, and class divisions. Pelé's Brazil, Maradona's Argentina, France's multicultural 1998 champions, and Morocco's historic run to the semifinals in 2022 all became symbols of national identity and possibility. For smaller nations, simply qualifying for the World Cup can become a defining national achievement. Countries such as Iceland, Costa Rica, and Senegal have captured worldwide attention through unexpected performances that have inspired millions. Football's simplicity contributes to this universal appeal. The game requires almost no equipment, making it accessible across continents and cultures, and as a result, the World Cup belongs not just to the wealthy football powers, but also to emerging nations and underdogs. The tournament has also become deeply tied to migration, globalization, and cultural exchange. Many modern national teams reflect multicultural societies that have been shaped by immigration. The 1998 and 2018 World Cup winning teams from France became symbols of diversity and national unity. At the same time, debates about nationalism, identity, and representation continue to emerge around international football. The World Cup often reflects broader global conversations about politics, race, and belonging. Media and technology have also transformed how the World Cup is experienced. Early tournaments relied on newspapers and radio reports, but by the mid-20th century, television brought the competition into homes worldwide. More recently, satellite broadcasting and digital streaming have increased the audience to unprecedented levels. Social media now allows fans to react instantly, creating a shared global conversation during matches. Memorable goals, celebrations, and controversies spread around the world now within seconds. Commercialization has also changed the World Cup dramatically. Sponsorships, broadcast deals, and advertising partnerships generate billions of dollars for FIFA and participating organizations. Critics argue that commercial and financial interests have overshadowed sporting values, while supporters believe economic growth has expanded football's global reach. Regardless of perspective, the World Cup has become one of the most powerful entertainment brands in the world. Despite all its changes, the emotional essence of the World Cup remains remarkably consistent. Every 4 years, players carry the hopes of entire nations onto the pitch. Moments of triumph and heartbreak become part of our shared memory. Fans gather in stadiums, public squares, bars, and living rooms to experience the drama together. The tournament creates heroes whose names become immortal. Pelé, Beckenbauer, Cruyff, Maradona, Ronaldo, and Messi, along with countless others. The FIFA World Cup has evolved from Jules Rimet's ambitious dream into a defining global sporting institution. It has reflected the best and worst of humanity, unity and division, artistry and controversy. Yet the tournament endures because football possesses a unique ability to connect people emotionally across cultures and generations. From the first voyage across the Atlantic in 1930 to today's billion-dollar global spectacle, the World Cup is more than just a championship. It's a human experience we all share. Every tournament writes a new chapter in football history while preserving links to its past. The Jules Rimet Trophy may be gone, but its legacy lives on in the modern trophy lifted by champions before audiences of billions. As future tournaments expand into new formats and technologies continue to reshape sports entertainment, the essence of the World Cup is unlikely to disappear. At its core, the tournament remains a celebration of competition, identity, and hope. It reminds the world that for a few weeks every 4 years, football can unite humanity in a way almost nothing else can. At the same time, debates surrounding the costs to host a World Cup have intensified in the modern era. Skeptics are quick to point out that the promised economic impact for a host nation rarely hits the target. Countries often spend billions constructing new stadiums and infrastructure projects in preparation for the tournament, while critics argue that some facilities become underused after the event, creating financial burdens for taxpayers. Brazil's hosting of the 2014 World Cup sparked major public protests over government spending, while Qatar's hosting of the 2022 tournament generated widespread discussion about labor conditions for migrant workers. These debates illustrate the complicated relationship between sporting celebration and political responsibility. The World Cup's future will almost certainly involve even greater technological innovation, such as artificial intelligence, advanced analytics, and immersive broadcasting. Yet despite those advances, the core attractions remain really quite simple. Nations competing for glory through a game that can be played almost anywhere on Earth, with almost anything resembling a ball. That simplicity explains why the World Cup has endured through nearly a century of global change. Empires have collapsed, technologies have transformed communication, and politics have repeatedly influenced sport. Yet the World Cup remains one of humanity's most recognizable traditions. The FIFA World Cup still represents the idealism Jules Rimet imagined nearly a century ago. Of course, the tournament can't erase political conflict, social division, or corruption, but it can briefly create moments where billions of people focus on the same event with an air of anticipation. For all the controversies surrounding FIFA and modern sport in general, the emotional pull of the World Cup remains unmatched. It's still capable of inspiring wonder, heartbreak, and joy on a global scale, unlike any other sporting event. If you enjoyed this episode, feel free to check out other episodes in this series as we get set for World Cup 2026. As always, we invite you to hit the like and subscribe buttons and join us next time as we look for more than just a score.